Hello, on today's Nerd Conversation, me and Victoria are joined by the very talented Ellie Ramsden. Ellie, how are you?
Hiya, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
We'll get straight into the questions. One of the first questions we'd really like to know is who were your first female inspirations growing up?
I think my first female inspiration that I can really think of is my auntie. I just remember every time I spent time with her, I felt really inspired because I think she lives life in a way that isn't quite like the binary way that we see a lot of people living. So she kind of chose to kind of go down a bit of a different route to kind of, I guess, like the stereotypical way of kind of buying a house, having 9 to 5, and children. And so I think that really did inspire me to see her sort of carving out her own way. Um, and so I think she would be by far my biggest inspiration when I was a kid.
It's always really nice when someone says it's a family member and not like an artist.
Mm.
Maybe your auntie relates to this question, but if we take a trip down memory lane, how did Ellie first get into photography? How did your passion with a camera start?
I think my passion with photography started I remember watching my dad and my brother taking pictures and just feeling a little bit jealous about watching them, like having a lot of fun doing that. And I think being the youngest, I think I probably just wanted to be a bit more like the older guys in the family. And I remember asking my mum and dad for a camera for quite a long time. And my gran, she was really into photography as well, and she would photograph like gardens and animals and things. And so she had a few cameras, and she ended up giving me one when I think I was probably about 10 years old. And so I had a film camera for the first camera that I ever had. And something really like clicked for me when I picked up that camera and started taking pictures. I'd always been like really into drawing and painting, but I remember feeling very kind of frustrated by not being able to paint exactly what was kind of in front of me. And so when I picked up a camera, there was something that really, really clicked in my head of like, this is what I've been trying to do. And I think there's something really special about showing the world like your perspective of kind of what's going on in your life. And it's obviously something that's so unique to everyone. So I think that was kind of my pathway into photography.
Well, I was actually going to ask as well, like, obviously all good art should be about challenging perspectives and challenging stereotypes, which I know is a big theme within your work. I just want to know a little bit more about how you choose to tackle certain issues with your photography.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I think, is about just curiosity and listening. And I think stereotypes are just sort of an oversimplified image of a person or a thing. And I think oversimplifying often comes from accepting kind of one representation that someone else has kind of decided on, and not taking the time to actually really think about your own kind of opinion on those people or group of people or a thing. And so through my work, I really try and aim to show people's true character, and that can be incredibly difficult if you're on a commission, you have 5 minutes with someone, but it's always in the forefront of my mind to try and do that as the best I can. And I believe that images are obviously incredibly powerful, but I think so are words. And in my personal projects especially, I try to marry like words with images, and often put in quotes from conversations I've had with people I've photographed or interviews we've done together, just so they can actually show or like say exactly what they would like to say. Because at the end of the day, like, photography is still kind of, it's your perspective, the photographer's perspective, that you're putting on to someone else. So by kind of giving someone a platform to be able to like share their words, that's coming directly from them. So I think that's really important to me. And photographers obviously hold so much power. We have power to challenge stereotypes, but we can also kind of emphasize them. So I think we've just got to be really kind of mindful and careful that we're capturing the truest and most honest representation of that person.
Yeah, I'd be a bit interested to know if there's any other forms of like media that influence your photography. It might be music. You mentioned that you used to draw and paint when you were younger. So I don't know if that's something you still kind of dabble in your free time.
Very occasionally. I don't really draw or paint that much anymore, but I do collage quite a bit, which I absolutely love doing. And it hasn't quite crossed over yet into my photography, but I feel like it will at some point for sure. But I feel really inspired by other, like going to galleries and looking at paintings and mixed media pieces especially, and collages. And I think it's very inspiring to me to see that work. But I don't know how it directly influences, but I'm sure it does at certain times for sure. But I guess like more than anything, I think just seeing kind of the beauty in everyday life is probably what influences me the most. But music for sure has definitely been a huge inspiration. And I've done quite a lot of music photography, so you can see the direct link there.
Yeah, because I was going to ask if you have any kind of like day-to-day rituals when you're on shoot, anything that like gets you into a groove. I've spoken to a lot of artists previously that they might listen to a certain song to get them into a rhythm, or they might not listen to anything or just zone out for like half an hour before starting a project. What's your kind of ritual, if you have one?
I don't think I have like a very specific ritual. I think it depends how I feel on the day. I think sometimes music for sure is like, I need music. Music is like going to help me get into this mindset. But I think it really depends like what I'm shooting and how I'm feeling on that day. Sometimes I do just need a bit of peace and quiet. I think if it's going to be like a really long day and there's going to be a lot going on, you kind of need to like, I don't know, departmentalize, is that the word? A little bit like beforehand. But then other times I kind of just feel like I want to get into the groove and listen to some music.
Is there any go-to artist you go to? Is it like, pumping electronic music, or is it something a bit more relaxed?
Oh, again, it just depends on the day. But I guess Bonobo is probably going to be up there with like kind of like calming, but also kind of getting you kind of into the energy of it as well.
Lovely. And I think I have one of like, what do you call that? A philosophical question in some way. So if you had to literally take a step back and maybe, I think we lost Lou.
Oh no.
Okay, let's have a minute and maybe wait for him to come back.
Okay, for sure, yeah.
Okay, he's back.
Yeah.
You're back. You disappeared there for a second. Okay, I'll start again. So I have somewhat of a philosophical question for you, Ellie, today. So if you had to take a step back and say, distill the essence of what you love the most about photography, maybe in a single element or a word perhaps, what would it be and why?
Oh, a single word. I think the single word would be possibility, maybe. I think like for me, photography has opened up so many possibilities and really has just opened up like a whole new world that I can't imagine being able to experience the things that I've experienced without photography. It's taken me to so many new places and met so many incredible people that for me, I think the word would be possibility.
I love that. I'm a photographer myself, but I know that we do quite different things. And I think like that is probably like up there for me. It's a lot of like inspiration as well, because whenever like, literally I go around the city and everything I see can inspire whatever I do next. And Definitely. The weather as well. I think for me the weather is very important. And another trip back down, I suppose, if you could go back in time and give advice to younger self, just starting out in photography, what would you say to that version of Ellie? I think in this way we're thinking of the women who are starting again in photography, or just the younger.
Oh no, we lost you, but I think you're back.
I am?
Yeah.
Shall I repeat, do you think?
Yeah, just repeat.
Yeah, it might be best, yeah.
Okay, cool. So Ellie, if you could go back in time and give advice to your younger self, just starting out in photography, what would you say to that version of Ellie?
I would tell her to try and make decisions based out of curiosity rather than fear. I think it's very, very easy to default into making decisions out of fear, but it's in the long term not very helpful. And I think if you make your decisions based out of curiosity and out of love for yourself, love for other people, love for what you're doing, then I think you will end up being a lot happier than if you base your decisions out of fear.
That is very wise advice.
Do you think curiosity? Yeah. Do you think curiosity allows you to kind of like maybe go wider and go bolder in some things as well, rather than being scared of doing something?
Definitely, 100%. Yeah, for sure.
Well, we'd like to check in with what you're currently working on at the minute, or any side projects that you might be working on.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things in the pipeline. I've actually just got back from spending a couple of months away in South America. So I was obviously taking loads of pictures out there, and I think there could be a project there, but I'm kind of working through it a little bit. But there's a project that I should be starting very soon. I kind of started just before I left, so I'm picking it up now that I'm back. But it's a bit too early to like start giving details, but there are things in the works for sure, yeah.
Well, it was been great chatting with you today, and we look forward to seeing this secret side project you're working on.
Very
Yeah, thank
excited
you
for
guys. It's been lovely.
Thank you so much for your time.